The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Oh, hey everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast for this week. My name is JD, I'm your host, and with me is my lovely co-host, Kyle.
Yo.
Hello, Kyle.
How's it?
It's house. It's. And joining us once again is Matt.
Hi,
Hi.
it's me. I'm here.
Yes, you
Again.
are here. You're here again, and we have some news for you listeners. So if you're a longtime listener, you may remember that when Kyle and I started this show, it was a 2-man operation, but then a few episodes later, we went to a 3-man operation.
And then due to scheduling issues.
Yeah, shut up. But it's been a while since we've had a 3-man team, and I really missed having kind of 3 people on here regularly, just because I feel it's good for conversation. Like if one person, well, there's a lull in the conversation, there's another person to pick it up and all that kind of stuff. And over the last year, Matt has been joining us periodically for things, and Kyle and I really enjoyed how he's taken to being on the show, and think you've been a really good conversationalist and stuff. So we're formally announcing that Matt will be joining us weekly now as our third host. So Matt, welcome to the show again, permanent basis wise, I guess.
Yeah, at least for the foreseeable future.
Until he gets sick of us.
I haven't gotten sick of you yet, and I've done 16 episodes, so hopefully it'll last for quite a long time.
Yeah, but now you got to deal with us every week, not just when you feel like it.
Well, that's not true. Kyle doesn't have to deal with you every week.
Kyle deals with me every day.
Worse.
He's been dealing with me every day for 10 years.
But yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for thinking of me, or I guess long-term trying me out and deciding that I was good enough to be a weekly host. So I hope everyone out there is receptive to me coming on as like a full-ish time host, and I'll try to keep up the good conversations and the pedigree that the show has attained. And
pedigree. He thinks we have quality, Kyle.
We tried you out.
So yeah, I think it'll work out great. I do wish, however, that we were bringing you in on better material, because this week we are going to be talking about the recent Addams Family movie. And just a heads up, we will be talking full spoilers in the movie, so if you haven't seen it and care about spoilers and whatnot, then there's your warning. But
not that there's much to spoil, really.
I just people are weird about spoilers. I just want to put it out there just in case. But that this was a movie is what I say.
It certainly is the most recent theatrical film in the Addams Family franchise.
That's an apt description.
Yes.
Truly, they were an Addams Family.
So, when they announced sometime last year they're making a CG animated Addams Family, and they showed that first image of the actual family, I was reasonably excited because, like, you know what? The art style kind of looks closer to like the original comics or like the cartoons that have come before it. So I was like, this is kind of nice. But when they've ramped up the marketing the last couple months, my enthusiasm waned significantly, and then finally watching this, and I'm like, well, that was a way to kill an hour and 15 minutes.
I'll say this much. most animated films, their marketing is not reflective of their quality. Like any Leica movie is a good example of that. Like the marketing for those movies are never that good, and then like the actual movies themselves are great for the most part. Um, I would say that the marketing for Addams Family was definitely terrible, but the movie itself was largely inoffensive. Like I don't know that the marketing took away from my enjoyment of the movie, but unfortunately, the movie is just so what's the word? Like middle of the road.
Bland.
Oh yeah, bland. Yeah, it's bland, and that's unfortunate because when you're looking at the subject matter of the Addams Family, like that's an awful crime against it.
Yeah, like yeah.
My favorite, my favorite marketing was they're like, "Hey, everybody, Snoop Dogg's in this movie, but he's not really, but he is."
He
But
speaks
he's not
gibberish and
really.
he's pitch shifted. So honestly, if the marketing hadn't told you it was Snoop Dogg and they didn't play "Drop It Like It's Hot" when his character's introduced, you wouldn't have
Yeah.
known.
You know what though? With the prior knowledge that he does voice cousin It, when you do listen to him, like it is gibberish and pitched up and stuff, but you can definitely tell that it is him. Maybe that's just my
I
discerning ear.
couldn't. Maybe I don't know Snoop Dogg well enough to know.
Let's
I'm
ask
a semi-avid Snoop Dogg listener. I kind of got that West Coast hookup.
There you go. What were you saying, Kyle?
So let's ask Martha Stewart what she thinks.
That's such an odd couple. I've always wanted to watch that show. I've never gotten around to it.
So this movie, it kind of a bit of an origin in the sense that it shows the wedding of Gomez and Morticia, which I don't think has been shown before as far as I'm aware. But you see how, like, you know, their weirdness is scary to the people in the old country, and they're driven out, so they have to move to New Jersey.
That was, and I knew when Morticia was leading up with that, like, you know, oh, we're gonna move somewhere, blah blah blah. Like, I was thinking they're gonna move to Detroit, aren't they? And like it showed New Jersey. I'm like, damn it! I was like, that would have been my second choice.
New Jersey
So-
is the armpit of America.
Yeah.
I told JD that that joke works on two levels because that's where Charles Addams lived.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was originally from New Jersey, and I want to. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I've never read the original little comics, but I think they did live in Jersey in the comics. But I may be talking to my ass about that. But I mean, that was
Yeah,
still
actually, before we talk about the movie, like generally, like how familiar are you guys with like sort of past Addams Family projects? Like, were there any of the shows or the movies that you guys had watched or were like a fan of or anything?
I saw
I
the '90s cartoon.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I've maybe seen a few episodes of the '90s cartoon. I've seen the first live action movie with Raul Julia. I feel like I saw the second movie, but I'm not 100% on that.
Values. Yeah.
The one with the baby. I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, those live action movies are like great. Like I need to rewatch them again this year because it's the spooky season. But I think I probably watched them. I think I watched them like last year, and they're still like, you know, really entertaining. I mean, like with that cast too, like, you know, you got Christopher Lloyd as like Fester and stuff. Like it's super great.
Yeah, I mean the cast for that for the old movies were great.
Yeah. So I was definitely familiar with the two live action movies. I've seen episodes of the original like black and white show. I couldn't really tell you much about the content of that. I do remember watching like back in the 90s. I think it was ABC Family, but before that it used to be Fox Family, I believe. They had the new Addams Family, which I think was essentially them just redoing episodes of the old black and white show, but like with the new cast and in color and stuff. And it's funny because like I kind of remember like some plot lines from the newer live action show. And I remember I was talking with my dad, who was very familiar with the original show, And as I was describing like the little plot lines and stuff, he was saying, "Oh yeah, no, they did that in the old show too." I'm just like, "Oh okay." So it's just completely like recycle that stuff for sort of like a new, like it was literally just like a reboot, like even back then, like pretty interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like, well, no one's seen this old show in like 40 years. We could just take the old scripts and make them up a bit and, re-put them out. Who's going to know?
Yeah, exactly.
But
the cartoon, yeah, I kind of remember here and there.
The cartoon was like one of the first things Cartoon Network used to play.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because was that Hanna-Barbera who did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember they used to play like Underdog and all those old ass Rocky and Bullwinkle, and then Addams Family, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, because that was around the time of like the pup named Scooby Doo and all that kind of that late 80s, early 90s Hanna-Barbera was an interesting time.
Yeah.
But this movie, like, one of my biggest issues with this movie, it bugs me from just an artistic standpoint. The main Addams Family, the designs are fine. They're good because obviously they've got stuff to base it on, like previous designs, the comics, the cartoons, even a little bit of the movies. They've got stuff to work on. Every other character in this movie who is like an original character,
they look like they're pulled out of a Despicable Me or something.
I was telling Kyle earlier, it's like a weird hybrid of like early DreamWorks and Illumination.
Yeah.
Like the real estate mom, she's pulled from an Illumination movie, but her daughter is pulled from early DreamWorks with those giant bug eyes.
Yeah.
Just like all the character designs are just awful, and I don't like them at all.
It's a weird sort of hodgepodge for sure. And I wonder if that's holdovers from, because this specific movie has been trying to get made for like a while, and it's sort of jumped hands between studios and stuff a lot, different creative teams. I think just before this one was like MGM, I believe, before, or MGM Universal. Before this, the other version of it was supposed to be done by Illumination as a stop motion movie directed by Tim Burton in like 2010, 2011. And after watching this one, man, I would have loved to have seen that version, but that's kind of the stop motion fan in me and the Tim Burton fan in me. Like, I feel like that could have been really cool.
Well, that's the thing. If you watch a Tim Burton movie, like say Corpse Bride or something, all those characters feel like they belong in the same universe.
Yeah.
You have the dead people, you have the living people. They all feel completely like they belong there.
They're aesthetically linked. Yeah.
Yes. In this one, it feels a lot like how people were talking about the new Powerpuff Girls, where you see them and then you see all the kids that they go to school with, as well as like the older characters. And it seems like people that worked on Clarence started working on it.
Right.
It's all kids from Clarence or some shit like that, where it just does not feel right. It's out of place. That's how this movie feels like.
Yeah, totally.
Sure.
Yeah.
Part of me was willing to, like, I wasn't really like, the main Addams Family designs, like, there was a lot of, like, when they originally got revealed, there was a lot of people that like were not a fan of them and stuff, but they weren't like aware of sort of like the influence that it was pulling from, like, from the original comics and stuff. And like, but even then in that capacity, like the Addams Family are supposed to be this bizarre bunch. So like it works very well for them. And I'm wondering if they purposefully, like you guys are saying, everyone else in this movie does look weird, but I'm wondering if that's like just a case of them designing characters to try to fit this world, or if that's them intentionally trying to provide like a contrast between how like the Addams Family looks and then like kind of like how normal people are supposed to look. But even then, like there's like some exaggerated proportions and like weird stuff going on there too. It's kind of hard to determine like what direction they're trying to go for.
It's just I think it's just strange because you have like the Addams who are like have these very vintage classic designs, and you're putting them up against more very modern looking designs, and it just clashes.
Yeah, it's like the new Simpsons, where you look at every new character they bring on in the new Simpsons compared to all the older characters. It's just a juxtaposition. It's way too over detailed, and
It's like
that's what
that
it
for
feels
like
like.
most cartoons, though. Like South Park's guilty of that too. You
Yeah,
watch like any new SpongeBob's, like all the new characters like introduced in there, like look pretty over designed too. Like
Or
the
hell,
typical
just
like,
look at Pokemon over the years.
or I guess yeah, that too.
yeah.
um, so like this movie is it. It's basically just like the Addams dealing because basically they're driven out of the old country, so they isolate themselves for years in like this in this house that they find. But then modern day just like intrudes on them one day, and then they have to they find the town that they've been living above this whole time, and it's about the world clashing with them, just like because they live in this town called Assimilation, and
If that doesn't beat you over the head.
Yeah.
right, yeah, in this reality, she's basically every HGTV star, home makeover star, where she's made over this entire town, and the Adams living up top of the hill where everyone can see them is risking the house market, I guess.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's about them trying to make over their house, but when they find that that's impossible, she starts spreading rumors about the Adams, trying to get the townspeople to drive them out, just like it happened before. Um, and then there's all these subplots about how Wednesday is curious about the outside world, so she makes friends and goes to public school, and Pugsley is trying to do this like swords manhood ritual the whole movie. It's
I feel like
there's a
the
lot.
Wednesday thing.
What?
I feel like the Wednesday thing was handled very poorly written,
There's like a hodgepodge of ideas in this
and
movie.
none of them work.
Yeah, it just feels like they're plots from. I almost want to say they're like plots from from TV show episodes that are hodgepodged into a movie with a
Yeah,
through line.
yeah, that's definitely a good sort of summation of it. It feels like this is the movie version of a CG Addams Family cartoon that doesn't actually exist.
Right.
Yeah.
And and with all these like subplots, it brought up something I never really thought about with the Addams franchise, but something that after watching this does kind of bother me is that I feel like a lot of the humor from previous Addams media, it's always about like how the Addams, that despite being this kind of like spooky macabre, having those kind of sensibilities, they are like the perfect family unit. Like they all get along, they all accept each other, and it's more about the world's reaction to them. It's like they're perfect, they're fine the way they are. It's the world reacting to them being weird.
Yeah.
So it's strange to me that in this they kind of wanted to like modernize it, so they gave the family internal struggles where you have like Wednesday is at odds with her mom, and Pugsley is having issues living up to uh, his
The family
dad.
heritage. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it's weird having the kids at odds with the parents, where that I feel like that kind of breaks away from the spirit from the Addams, I guess, if that makes any sense.
No, I definitely agree. Like that definitely kind of was rubbing me the wrong way watching the movie too. I'm just like, yeah, this is definitely like unlike other sort of versions of the Addams Family that I've seen before. And I guess credit to that, like at least it's different in that way, but it's not done well is the unfortunate thing.
It
Yeah,
a lot of it just feels modernized for the sake of doing so.
Yeah.
Um
See, my problem is the whole Wednesday thing is completely not utilized well. It's not told very well. If you wanted to do it right, you would have her becoming more normal and she starts losing her abilities like her axe throwing, maybe her arrow shooting, and she starts becoming more of a normie. And that never was explored. It was just, oh, she's got a beret in her hair. Oh, that's fucking weird, man.
They definitely should have rolled with the assimilation aspect of it a bit more too. And I felt like that was what they were building to, or that was the original like sort of concept behind it. But then yeah, they just sort of like they dropped the ball with that. They didn't really go like the full 9 yards of that.
Yeah,
And
they could have pushed a lot of their ideas further.
their new friend or whatever, she's like, "No, mom, you're not gonna tell me what to do. This is me now." And it's like, but you're doing what your friends are doing. So you're not following her, but you're following your friends. You're not your own person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking dumb. This movie was a mess, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do want to give it credit that the animation, I think, for being from a relatively unknown studio, like I'd never heard of the animation studio that does I don't even remember what they're called. They're like Braun Animation or something like that. I do think at least animation wise, it holds up to modern Illumination and
Yeah.
probably Illumination and Blue Sky is what I'd compare it to. It's not DreamWorks or Pixar
Yeah.
quality, but
Yeah, it's definitely animated competently. Like it's
competent's a good word.
yeah, it's animated competently. Like it's not like, well, I mean, aside from some of the designs of things in the movie, like the actual animation, kind of like the expressions and stuff like that. There's some good stuff in there, but yeah, it's not enough to sort of elevate the movie as a whole.
Yeah. And I do also want to give credit to the I do think the people that got to voice the Addams themselves
Oh yeah,
were good. Like you got Oscar Isaac and
Charlize
Charlize
Theron.
Theron as the
Yeah,
parents, and you got Chloe Moretz and
Chloe.
Finn Wolfhard, Finn Wolfhard has really been getting around lately.
Oh totally.
Damn,
Nick
Stranger Things.
Kroll as a Fester was pretty entertaining too.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Because I knew about most of the voice cast, like in addition to Snoop Dogg as it. Didn't know Bette Midler's in the movie, and that was pretty. That was like one of the sort of like, oh, I was a little bit excited to find that out, just because I love her in a Hocus Pocus, which is like another classic. A movie that's more of a classic Halloween movie than this one will ever be for sure.
It's funny because I literally just watched that 2 days ago. Melanie's sister was having like this
marathon on Freeform.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Melanie's sister had like a big get together where she invited a bunch of friends over and we just like sat around drinking, watching Hocus Pocus.
I love that movie. It's like one of my favorite Halloween movies. I gotta watch that again this year.
It was really weird because Melanie said she never actually watched it all the way through until this time, so it was she thought it was okay. It's kind of where I am too. I've never been like huge on it. I mean, it's fine, but
I think it depends on when you watch it and how, like, if you grow up with it. Like, I watched it when I was really
That's exactly what she said. It's like I feel like because like she and I have never really watched it as kids. We don't have the same kind of hype for it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the voice cast, I thought there was one part in here. They got Martin Short and Catherine O'Hara in for one scene, which is where Morticia is like seancing her parents.
Oh, that was them?
Yeah, that was them for that one scene.
Oh, wow.
You don't even see them. They're in a crystal ball. But it led me to something I never really thought about is that all Addams media only ever deals with the Addams side of the family. I feel like you never hear anything about Morticia's side of the family, and like her talking to her parents here is like the first time I've ever heard anything from her side of the family.
That was actually kind of a funny scene too. Just like there's some funny things in the movie. I did write down some of the ones that stood out to me, and that was one of them. Was that whole seance scene? Just because it's like it's reflective of like having a FaceTime conversation with like an older relative who doesn't know how to work technology. Where they're like, who is that? Like, oh, I can't hear you. You got to speak up. Like that type of. That's kind of funny to me. Like her doing the Ouija board, like the crystal ball and shit. Like, that's kind of funny to me.
So yeah, that's that was a funny scene. But I would just, because it, like, even at the wedding scene at the beginning, I feel like all the people there are from the Addams side of the family. If there were parts from Morticia's side of the family, they didn't out them.
Yeah.
So it's like she also has this like macabre sensibilities that Gomez has, and that's probably what attracts them to each other. But I would really love to know like what her side of the family is like, that made her this way. If like that kind of like creepy kind of sensibilities runs through her family too, like it does the Addams side of the family. It's just something I've never seen explored, and I think, God forbid they make a sequel to this, might be some interesting territory to get into.
Yeah, that would have been a better sort of premise to it. That would have been something that's not. I mean, yeah, since none of us have like 100% knowledge of all Addams media, it's hard to say. But just
I mean, they could for all I know.
Yeah, it's definitely a decent idea.
Yeah,
there were 2 problems I had with the jokes or the writing in here.
Go for it.
With the seance scene, they mentioned that she joined the Girl Scouts, and I was like, that doesn't really sound like something in a European country would do. That joke stood out. It's kind of awful. And another one was saying that Gomez had eaten cotton candy before, or something like that, and I was like, that doesn't really sound like something over there either.
He said they have cotton candy in other countries.
I'm just saying, they live in like buttfuck nowhere, little villages, stuff like that. That's what I'm saying.
Like I kind of took it as like Eastern European kind of area, like Turkey, that kind of area.
They live in a country where people still have cobblestone roads and pitchforks and torches. That's where it was like, that's a little weird.
I mean, was it explicitly? Like, did they say or mention, or you got that from like?
They just said they just say the old country. That's all they ever explain about it.
It has a very Russian feel to it because the whole their little dance or whatever. It's called like I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure the fact that they called it the old country is part of the reason why it's all like backwards and a century behind everything. I'm sure it's just there for contrast rather than trying to put it in any real geographic location.
True. The other thing I brought up to JD before is you watch all the other media, whatever, and I would say it's pretty timeless. You see, the old cartoon, the old TV show, whatever. It's all pretty timeless. Minus the black and white. The lack of color. But this one, it is obnoxiously modern, and I think that kind of pulls from it because they're like, look at me, I'm on social media. Here's a reality TV show, you guys.
Or like them in the new age mob where they have all the torches like on their phones and stuff. I get what you mean. I don't know. I think the visual that I can kind of see where they were going with it, like as like in this today's climate, like the social media mob and that type of stuff. Like I don't know. Like I said, the movie has some ideas, and they're okay ideas, but they're just not executed well.
Something occurred to me just now. So the friend that Wednesday makes, I feel like it's kind of implied that she's more on the unpopular side of the social spectrum. Because obviously, that girl, like, just
she's
like
getting bullied and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it implies that she's lower on the social ladder. So she is constantly like Facebook living through this entire movie. Who is she really streaming this to? Like,
Yeah.
it's never explained as like, does she have like a significant online presence that she's streaming this to, or like is she streaming like to those two friends that other friends she has that are like one scene and are never brought up again?
She's
Right.
popular because her mom's popular.
I guess, but I don't know. It seemed kind of weird that like she's constantly streaming, but like any real life interaction she's had with other people kind of leads you to believe she's not popular. So it's like, who's watching this? And then at the end, she's like, when her mom does like the big like revealing of how big a bitch she is, she's like, 3 million people are watching this. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You
I
know
don't
3
know.
million people?
I was kind of looking through the cracks on some of that stuff, like as far as her like constantly FaceTiming like people or whatever. I mean, there's plenty of people that do like streaming stuff for real, and then like in real life they don't like their online persona is not reflective, or there is not the same as their offline persona.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
So I was willing to look past that. The thing at the very end with her revealing like her mom's like plans and stuff, like I was kind of just under the assumption that she somehow was able to get into like the Facebook account for like the show or something like that. Like I said, it's not explicitly said, but I'm just kind of thinking like, yeah, that's probably like what would have happened. Like maybe she just FaceTime, like she tagged her mom and like everyone on her timeline saw her and they followed the video or something. Just kind of thinking on how social media works. Like I could see how that could potentially work out.
Yeah, I could buy that. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I'm just more sort of concerned is not the word. I'm just sort of more of like the mom didn't really get her comeuppance.
Yeah, that's true. Because like in the end, she gets with I assume she gets with Fester.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's no comeuppance for her like trying to basically murder the Addams.
That was the only comeuppance.
Yeah, she lost her show, but then she becomes a real estate like an actual real estate agent and selling houses with Fester to the rest of the Addams family. Who? Why did they all need to move there? Did they not live other places already?
Yeah.
I assume when they came for Pugsley's manhood ceremony, they were coming from their homes that they already lived at.
Well,
but I guess they all live in one town now.
Yeah, I mean, family is very important to the Addams, so to have them all like in one town, sort of that part made sense to me. Like,
I guess
they're a very close knit sort of community of family.
Yeah, Kyle. Yeah, you guys are right. It's like there's no like consequences for the villain of the movie other than she loses her TV show, but she immediately gets another job selling houses. So it's like it's all fine, I guess.
Yeah,
because the Addams are just nice like that.
Her real punishment is having to live the rest of her life with Fester.
But she seems to enjoy it, I guess.
Fester's okay.
He okay.
I'm glad. I was very surprising they got Max Gilardi to play him in this movie.
I'm sure he listens to this show.
Hi, Max. No, that was one of the things the original trailer came out. That was listen, it does kind of look alike, like to the way that Max draws himself. Like, yeah, it's kind of similar. It's missing like the piercings.
Yeah.
Second show in a row we dropped him.
Yeah, dropping him all over the place. We gotta get him on here one of these days. But yeah, so I think all in all, this movie has some major problems, and like I'm not upset that I watched it. Like I'm not happy I watched it, but
you're indifferent.
I'm indifference towards watching it because like I'm glad we watched it for review, so I had an opinion on it, I suppose. But I at the moment have no interest in watching it again anytime soon. I don't know. It's as an Addams movie. I don't know. It's bad, but as just like an animated film that parents are going to take to their kids take their kids to. It's inoffensive. It could be worse. Like I was even telling Kyle, I don't think this movie is even a full hour and a half long.
Yeah, it's like an hour and like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, like an hour 15 or something. But yeah, so it's like you're not even gonna waste a full hour and a half watching this movie.
I don't know. Watching this movie really wanted to make me gamble.
Shut up, Kyle. I did think it was kind of interesting that the way they decided to like cap off this movie is like making an animated remake of the intro to the black and white Addams Family intro.
I kind of like that.
To me, that felt like the test footage, and they were like, we could just put this in the end. Just what it felt
like. I liked it because it's like Gomez was like doing the like weird face that his like that the old actor did for that shot. I didn't like they had to put the lyrics up on screen. It seemed wholly unnecessary.
How are you going to sing along without the fucking lyrics, JD?
They don't need to.
Yeah, but the kids who don't know what the hell Addams Family is up until this movie probably do.
Kids are stupid and they laughed at the moving colors.
Kids only know Fortnite and Minecraft, all right?
I was surprised there wasn't more memes in this movie because like some of the marketing material had that or like
oh god. The marketing was so meme heavy and it was painful.
I mean, I'm glad that the movie didn't because like Kyle was saying earlier, there's some elements in the movie that don't make it as timeless as some of the other adaptations. Like I feel like since those elements are already in the movie, they probably should have just rolled into it, like, because why the hell not? Like, just appeal to the lowest common denominator. Like,
their one relative said this party's gonna be lit because his head was on fire. Get it?
Yeah. There was okay, I forgot to mention this earlier, but when I mentioned that there were some scenes in the movie that I did like, there was a reference to Invasion of the Body Snatchers in the movie that I actually laughed at. She does a point to like, that was really funny. Fester getting hit by arrows was a recurring gag. That was I kind of like that. And then the part that actually made me kind of like laugh was there's a bit where Fester's taking off his coat and you see his tattoo and it says "No regrets." I did like that. So yeah, other than those, and then there was one dumb bit that made me chuckle where they're in the wine cellar and like Morticia uncorks the barrel.
Oh yeah,
and it's just a bunch of people like, "Are we there yet? My feet are cold." Like that was like a dumb joke, but it made me chuckle, so it was worth noting.
It was like one of those obvious jokes when I'm like, yeah. Well, is there anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up tonight?
I watched this movie once, and I can live the rest of my life without ever having to see it again.
Well put.
One more thing of note: do you know who directed this movie?
I don't.
The same duo that directed Sausage Party.
All right.
If that doesn't tell you exactly what you need to know.
That's a mark of quality right there.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember what we said about her when we reviewed Sausage Party. But...
Is that why they had the giant orgy at the end?
The giant Addams Family orgy.
But it's with family, so it should have ended with them yelling the aristocrats.
Yeah.
Oh god. So there you go, guys. There's a review of the Addams Family. I want to hear from anyone who actually like thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I want to know what you saw in this. And it makes me wonder if MGM is getting into animation, is going to be putting out animated films now, or if this is just like a one-off for them. I don't know. Well, all right then. Well, thank you guys for being here, for recording with me tonight, and for everyone out there who listened, thank you for sticking it out to the end. So, Yeah, we will be back again next episode with more spoop because it is October, and we got more spoop to come.
Sure.
Spoop.
Great sign off.
All right, good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the show. Join our Discord to chat with us, and subscribe to our Patreon for some cool bonuses. Links are in the description. We'll see you next time.